give Alan and Monica a lot of credit for being fired up this morning, because that was like a dagger to the chest, what happened last night at Madison Square Garden. I was listening to Monica's radio call. We are delighted to have Andraya Carter in studio all morning.
Hey, girl.
Coming off of, and this is not an exaggeration, one of the genuinely great finishes in the history of playoff basketball. And it was engineered by one of the great young stars in the sport. It was Game 5 at the Garden. It was Embiid and the Sixers. It was Brunson and the Knicks. It was back and forth all game long. 2 minutes left. OG Anunoby going to put the Knicks up 5.
This was a great moment. The Knicks defense was elevated during this stretch, and you saw them get some easy runouts courtesy of that D.
And then Deuce McBride, who Monica calls all the night on the radio there, puts the Knicks up by 6.
That's a game over. Series over, right?
Series over with 30 seconds left. But wait. Oh, my God!
Don't foul!
It's a 4-point play.
We got to talk about that one. We're going to talk about that one.
Tyrese Maxey, so then Josh Hart goes to the free throw line, looking to put the Knicks back up. Oh, but he misses one. So it's a 3-point differential. Mike Green, take it away.
One thing the Knicks can't afford is a 3-point attempt. Maxey launches the three. Oh, he knocks it in! Tyrese Maxey with 8 seconds remaining. Knicks have timeouts left. Brunson on the drive, gets inside the floater. Blocked. Overtime.
Unbelievable finish from Maxey, but he wasn't done yet. The Knicks would score the first 5 points of overtime, and then Allen, Maxey happened again.
Yeah, he just was on one in this game, like just in that rhythm. He was all night long. It felt like he couldn't miss, and that drive was money. But look at this, the extra effort that the Sixers were getting beat on. They were the ones getting the offensive rebounds. 7-1 in overtime on the board.
Embiid had a triple-double. Maxey had 46. Brunson wouldn't let the Knicks go down without a fight, and then takes one to the face here, a flagrant from Joel Embiid.
You know, interesting call by James Capers and company. The right call indeed in that moment, and it gave the Knicks an opportunity, but again, uncharacteristically missing free throws in this ballgame.
Knicks down by 3. Brunson, he did his part. He scored 40. Game tied at 106. Next Sixer possession. Is it going to be Maxey again? No, it's not. It's going to be Kelly Oubre who gets the friendly roll. Sixers a 1-point lead. 30 seconds left. Allen, the Knicks throw it away.
Yeah, it's just miscommunication here. Once again, the Knicks usually great with details late, but not there.
Sixers win. They stay alive. Tyrese, talk to me.
Find a way to survive. Like I said, our season's on the line. I mean, like, I trust my work. I trust what I've done all my life, and just try to get to a spot and raise up and knock a shot down.
Me not being able to, be myself, you just had to do it, and he did it. That's why, he is such an amazing basketball player, and I mean, he's great.
The swings in this game were just remarkable. We pointed out that moment, that pressure point, 28 seconds left, down 6. The 76ers had just a 5% chance to win. Instead, they became the first team in the last 25 playoffs to overcome a deficit of at least 6 points in the final 30 seconds of regulation. So, put your feet up. We got plenty. I'm not going to a commercial for an awful long time, folks, because there is so much here to unpack. And Andraya, let's start big picture, and then we'll go little picture.
Okay.
The first thing you said to me this morning about Tyrese Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey has to be in the conversation for future face of the league. Who have we been talking about? Anthony Edwards. People have talked about Victor Wembanyama.
Shit.
All of that is great. Yeah, Chet. There are so many young guys, and that's great. Tyrese Maxey has to be in the conversation. 50-point performances, people weren't talking about him potentially being the face of the league. This performance, when they needed it, what do you say after the game? Mandatory. This performance in the Garden, where you put the team on his back, the fourth quarter performance, especially with the way Embiid struggled and the way Tyrese Maxey stepped up, he has to be in the conversation for face of the league, period.
Tyrese Maxey had the kind of moment last night that if they come back and win this series, we will talk about forever. That will be the Maxey game forever if they come back and win this.
Without question. And I think what has happened in terms of Tyrese Maxey in this conversation was these moments didn't exist because you're looking at a 7th seed, right? And so while Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished atop the Western Conference, because of the injury to Joel Embiid, there were some questions about how much could Tyrese Maxey carry on his own. But you're absolutely right, Greeny. If this turns out to be the pivotal moment in this series, we'll never live it down.
It's amazing. This is a player they wouldn't trade for Damian Lillard. Let's start there, right? That's how much they valued him, but they didn't give him an extension. So he's going to be a restricted free agent. They're going to pay him now, no doubt about it. But this moment doesn't happen also if he doesn't emerge beyond Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Because an MVP usually is the one that has to make the plays down the stretch.
What else can happen to Joel Embiid? He's got a meniscus. He's got Bell's palsy. He had a migraine yesterday. And through that all, through a guy who has waited and waited his career for someone to step up alongside him, when Ben Simmons wouldn't and James Harden couldn't. Last night, Tyrese Maxey did in a way that we've very rarely seen anyone do before.
And that was one of my favorite parts about this game. If you are a Sixers fan, you're feeling decent because now Embiid doesn't have to make those plays. If you saw, there were some half-hearted doubles from the Knicks, right? Embiid gets the ball on the block, half-hearted double. Embiid usually feels like he has to take those opportunities and create something, which on a hobbled knee is really hard to do. What do we see in this game? Half-hearted double, kicks out to Maxey, boom, three. It happened twice in the fourth quarter before he hit those late game threes. That confidence from Maxey with Embiid hurting is okay for the Sixers because Maxey can take over.
Okay, let's have the conversation everyone in America is having. Every basketball fan this morning is having the question
in New York
about fouling him before he takes the three. You heard Mike Green in the call.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna jump in. I know where we're going. Mike Green got the call. Personally, I will take it for this crew that we have together this morning. My personal philosophy, I'm not a foul girl, right? We had this conversation about the Indiana Bucks game the other night that went into overtime courtesy of Chris Middleton. What I do think is especially unique to this time, you guys, that you cannot ignore, literally, the unthinkable had just happened. So you talk about recent memory hemming you up on the ability to make the right play in the right moment. Like, they just gave up an and one at the three-point line.
Grab him right there, my God.
I hear you, but I understand why.
He was on one all game.
Just make a play on the ball.
Right there.
So the play on the ball had to be on the immediate inbounds then, because I also think you can't underestimate the speed of Tyrese Maxey. Of course, in hindsight, you got to foul.
All right, first and foremost, we talked to the players after the game, and one thing that Deuce McBride is guarding him right there.
You should have got him.
One thing that he said was that the communication wasn't there after the free throw. Josh Hart, if he made both versus if he missed one, there were two different things that they were going to do in that situation. And if he had missed one and it's a three-point game, you're fouling. That's what they wanted. Tom Thibodeau kind of hinted to it in his postgame, but Deuce did say that was supposed to be the plan. What he was worried about is what Monica's saying, is that I don't want to foul him as he rises up, and now it's an N1 again and give them a chance to actually win the game.
I think, okay, if you don't want to foul, I get it, because you don't want to make a 4-point play, but I also felt like he got the ball too easily. He gets ahead of steam going downhill. Like, there were so many opportunities where you could have fouled earlier. You could have fouled in front of half court, and then that's a long shot for him to make it. Yes, things can happen, but that's a long shot, and that's totally different than him stepping into a three with a shot fake in the M1. You could foul him way early. The first one, yeah.
The first mistake.
But this is a totally, totally different situation.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll start counting the number of ways in which the Knicks gave this game away at some point, but it has to start with Maxey. But let's get to the foul piece of this here, because the reality is, and Breen said it, there's only one thing you can't allow.
Yeah.
There's literally only one thing you can't let happen, and they let it happen. Sometimes things can be said as simply as that. I get that there are different philosophical ways of looking at it. He's unbelievably fast. He takes a shot basically from the logo.
We're showing it again. There's an opportunity for McBride to grab him the minute the screen is coming. You know the screen's coming. You know you're right there.
Yeah, he goes
You've got to
backwards
grab him
into the
right
screen.
there and not let him even take another dribble. That opportunity was lost in that moment.
You've been there. You've been in that spot playing. So tell me that.
Yeah.
He can grab it. If we can show that one again, Chrissy, just that same angle.
Of course, it's easier said than done, but if you watch, he's backing up, but right there. You could grab his jersey, you could reach for the ball, you could lunge into him at some point.
Right there.
Because
that spot.
Yes, that spot on the screen.
Run over Embiid, something, but you cannot lose him there. He's the hottest player on the floor.
Yep.
He right there was Reggie Miller. That's Reggie Miller and the haunting Knick fans. That's what that moment was. The guy that couldn't miss all night and the guy you didn't want to see making that last shot. Anybody else but Tyrese Maxey.
You could even try to jump it. You could try to jump it and make him go back to the sideline. You could try to jump that screen and foul right there.
I feel like we're winning you over, Monica. I feel like we're wearing you down.
In hindsight, I'm with y'all. Absolutely foul. I'm saying for me, philosophically, that's not my first instinct usually. I just tend to lean on my defense. However, in hindsight, obviously, there should have been a foul there. I will say this, though, and I got to shout out to Jay Will, because we've been a part of this series all week and reacting. And when Jay was here, he talked about late game execution in terms of the Sixers in game 2, even in game 4 to a degree. That moment, and I think the Knicks were willing to own it. they were not clicking on all cylinders in terms of understanding what the moment required.
Let's spend another moment giving Tyrese Maxey his due before we get to the Knicks side of this. And Alan, I feel like you just touched on it. Madison Square Garden, while the Knicks have not been good for a very long time, remains a place where history is special. The great performances in the Garden are the kinds of things that people tend to remember. And this one goes with Reggie Miller. This one goes with Michael Jordan. This one goes with some of the legendary Garden finishes, with Reggie Miller, I think, being the most legendary of them all. This one here, one of the most famous games, I'm overstated. One of the most famous games in NBA history is that moment there from Reggie Miller. And Tyrese Maxey had that kind of moment.
Yeah, it absolutely did, because that's 8 points in 8.9 seconds, a win turning into a loss in a blink of an eye.
Right.
And then obviously there's him giving a little choke sign. Michael Jordan, this is double nickels. This wasn't a playoff game, but it certainly felt like one. And his return to the NBA, we're in the 4-5. But there's something about, as you mentioned it is obviously the stage, right? It is the greatest stage in basketball. Every player says it. I'm sure both Monica and Andraya both would agree. And so players tend to rise to take it to another level. And that's what Maxey did. Yeah. Something in his game. And by the way, those two shots that he made late, that wasn't just a product of that moment. That was a product of the start of the game and on. Yeah. You saw it in him from the very beginning. Joel Embiid had nothing in the tank to offer. I'm out here. I'll give you all I have, but I can't do much in this game. He gave the ball to Maxey, and Maxey had himself a night.
Tyrese Maxey subbed back into the game with 1 minute and 21 seconds left in the first quarter. He played every second after that.
Yeah.
He didn't sub out of the game for the rest of the game. Second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, overtime. He had his foot on the gas.
You're getting monster performance from your first-time All-Stars in Brunson and Maxey. I mean, Jalen Brunson subbed for all of 2 minutes and 9 seconds in the entire ball game as well. And I just think, technically, y'all, Game 2 will live on in lore, not just in this series, but I think in the NBA. But that also was on the brink of being a Tyrese Maxey game in terms of him pushing through illness and dropping at, 34, I believe?
Right. And if he doesn't get absolutely mugged in the corner on that play at the end of Game 2,
all right, chill.
the whole series is different. This is Dr. Chay's tweet.
Don't
Come
let
out
him
and
pass
support our
Trenton.
Sixers. Our fans are the best. We'll prove it Thursday. Guys, go fight and win on Thursday after the embarrassing for the home team showing by the Knicks fans taking over that building on Sunday in Game 4. If the Sixers should find a way to win tomorrow night, then, Jaya, the pressure that will be on the Knicks Saturday night will be overwhelming.
The pressure will be on the Knicks because they just lost at home, which is what we just saw last night, and they had a 3-1 lead. All the pressure is on the Knicks if the Sixers win tomorrow.
So let's count all the ways. And for those of you who don't know, across the country, Monica McNutt does the Knicks games on local radio. Alan Hahn has been covering the Knicks, works for MSG, the local broadcasting. So you guys know this team better than anybody else we could possibly have here. Let's just count the ways they let this one get away, because it was so uncharacteristic of the way that they lost this game in all the ways that they usually win games that you don't think they should.
Yeah, and you can, even when you get overtime, as I mentioned, being out-rebounded in overtime, which doesn't happen with them, but they were. But it is the mental errors they made, which is something that they are not a supremely talented team, especially without All-Star Julius Randle. But they are a team that will never get out-executed, and they will always be prepared late. That's why they won Game 2. They were ready for the moment. They were not ready for it. They got up by 6 with 30 seconds to go, and they had that, okay, we won it, it's over moment. And then when Maxey hits that and one with Mitchell Robinson, that foul was absolutely brutal foul. That turned everything around, and it felt like the Knicks had already untied the shoelaces, which they never do.
But even with that foul, you have an opportunity to make it a 2-possession ball game at the free throw line. And so
that was the play he's talking about. But yes, the missed foul shot.
That's big.
You're going to win. If you miss a free throw there, again, for those of you who didn't watch this game last night, Josh Hart makes both foul shots there. Then there's basically nothing Tyrese Maxey can do at the end.
And for all of that, right, like you said, the basketball guys give it and the basketball guys take it away. You had a look.
Monica, that foul, though.
Come on. Stay with me. Just stay with me. Stay with me.
No, but he's making a point. I mean,
I get it.
You did the one thing you cannot do.
It's 6 points. Give him the 3. Put your hands up and let him shoot over you. But there's no reason to jump there. And that's, again, just a mental error that this team won 50 games, not based on being supremely talented or deep. It was because every single game, they never did things like that.
And so my point is, correct. Brain fart, right? Want to move on from it. But you still had overtime. You know, and we could argue, we're debating whether you foul Tyrese Maxey or not. We could debate whether or not head coach Tom Thibodeau calls a timeout with 8 seconds to go, right? Like,
draw something up.
there are little pieces, and I think we are reminded, of course in this series, because it's been so compelling, but we are reminded that the margins on winning are so narrow.
Margins in the series, you mean? The margin in the
Especially
series.
in this series, yeah.
2 points. Like, that's incredible.
Let's make that point clear. He's not making a point. That's a literal point. The margin through 5 games of this series, the Sixers have scored 2 more points than the Knicks have over the course of the 5 games combined. Every single one of these games could easily have gone the opposite direction that it did. So what does that tell us about what we should expect for tomorrow?
Well, it's going to be incredible. And I want to go back to the note about the Sixers fans.
Go.
They should 110,000% show up. There shouldn't be a Knicks fan that makes a noise in that arena. The way the Knicks fans embarrassed the 76ers fans the other day, the Knicks fans, they should be quiet because the 76ers fans are so loud. You get a performance like that from Tyrese Maxey. You get Joel Embiid diving on the ground and a triple-double. The fans should show up for those guys and this team. Kelly Oubre played well.
The tickets on the secondary market
The
right
76ers
now. If New
fans-
Yorkers are going to buy up all those tickets.
They better
come
be.
down and take over. Like, I've had people tell me, like, we're not letting them pass Trenton. Like, I've heard people say that already. Nobody's getting past Trenton, but those tickets are going to be interesting.
I
to see how
want,
they sell.
yeah.
I was going to say, can we go back to the 4-point play from Tyrese Maxey?
Yes,
Can we go
you
back
have a
to
tape
that?
here. We were making this point to me this morning. We were hanging out in hair and makeup, as you know people tend to do.
Hanging out.
And
Listening to Beyonce.
the 4-point play is a critical one. Chrissy, if we can show that one, the one where Maxey gets fouled right here.
Yes.
Take me through the moment here.
This is the best play to me, not just because it's a 4-point play, I get it, but because, Money,
Screen.
It's
I know
the
where you're
screen,
going. Yep.
but Joel Embiid is wide open on the roll.
Yeah.
With 21 seconds on the shot clock, Tyrese Maxey could have hit Joel Embiid, let him hit weak side corner, let him hit strong side corner, and let Joel create. Instead, he calls his own number, he plays with confidence, he shoots it, he makes it, and it's an and one. For me, that play, and for Tyrese Maxey to think, me, it's my time, instead of getting the ball to Embiid. Getting the ball to Embiid is technically the right play to make him there. Yeah, it's like
pass the torch.
With Embiid hurting, Tyrese Maxey needs to take those plays in Game 6, and if it goes to Game 7, that play, Joel Embiid's right there. He's wide open.
You know what? I wish he passed that ball.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
it's
trying
a
to get
4-point game.
Honestly.
What you were talking me through, what I really enjoyed about this conversation this morning, all kidding aside, is in that moment when you kick it to Embiid for the roll, you've got the corner jump, you got the corner 3 that's open.
Yes.
Any number of things could happen. There are 21 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yes.
For him to take that shot there, it's not the highest percentage decision he can make, except when you're on freaking fire.
Yes.
He was feeling it, and I think that play, yes, it's an M1, yes, it's a made 3, and you get to go to the free throw line, but it's the decision to take. It wasn't at the end of the shot clock. He didn't have to force it. He took it, he wanted it, he made it. He called his own number.
Also, by the way, the shot he made, let's not forget, making that shot with a 7-footer landing on you, that's an incredible shot from 3 to make, but being hit at the same time. It's a great shot. I know,
It's an incredible shot.
I know. It's you, it's Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson,
Okay,
and
relax,
you when it comes to
relax,
scores in Georgetown history. I totally get it.
Relax.
It's a great shot.
No. It is a great shot, and I think you and I were talking about this last night. The body control in this, right? Because there is a little bit of unnatural launch here, and I'm gonna give Tyrese Maxey his credit for making.
He's a righty.
Hold on.
He's a righty getting hit on the right side.
I got you.
What
I'm
are you saying? That this could have been an offensive foul?
No, I'm not gonna say it's.
Oh, then what are you?
I wouldn't call it a foul.
Wait.
For me, it could have been a no call, but it's whatever.
Well, one way or another, here's where we find ourselves
It is a great
this
shot.
morning. If you have a strong look, the Knicks fans are devastated. We're in New York right now. It is so quiet in the streets from the moment of just euphoria that fell out. But the reality is, the story of last night more than anything else, that is one of the performances for the ages.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It is not overstating it to say what Tyrese Maxey did last night is a performance for the ages.